What's up, everybody? It's Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got Dustin back on the show. Dustin, good to have you on.
Yep, thanks for having me as always.
And we got Amanda back on the show. Amanda, it's your second time on the show. Good to have you back.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So this is the 2021 Divisional Round recap and Conference Championship preview episode. It all started on Saturday with the Bengals at the Titans. Derrick Henry returning for the first time since week 8. So I picked the Titans. I was like, how are the Bengals going to stop Derrick Henry? Titans look good without him. But Amanda, first play of the game, Ryan Tannehill throws a pick. That's not exactly the way you want to start a playoff game. Do you think Tannehill's 3 interceptions were a big part of why the Titans couldn't win this game?
I mean, it has to be. The Titans sacked Joe Burrows 9 times and still couldn't pull off a win. So if you've got the defense going and you don't win, it's got to be your offense's fault.
Yeah, and Tannehill just making some bad throws at the worst time. Dustin, why couldn't the Titans get the run game going as much as we expected? You know, you'd think Derrick Henry was going to go off, and he didn't really go off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, he is coming off an injury, so just a little rusty, but the Bengals defense stepped up when it mattered.
Where's your trust factor in Tannehill? I mean, that was a bad performance.
Oh man, you know how I feel about Ryan Tannehill being an Indy fan anyway, but I just don't think that he's good enough to win a championship. I mean, he's reached his peak, and that's about as far as he's going to take Tennessee.
Yeah. Amanda, the Bengals, I mean, I don't think anyone really predicted they were going to go this far in the playoffs. Jamar Chase having an incredible rookie season, him and Joe Burrow. Are you rooting for this Bengals team? This is a pretty talented team. Do you think any way they can beat the Chiefs on Sunday?
I mean, I hope so. I picked the Bengals in that game. But I do think that they've been ignoring some major issues on their team. They've had O-line struggles for years. It's going to be one hit the wrong way, and Joe Burrows is out for the season again like he was last year. Last year, they allowed the 3rd highest sack yard in the NFL, and they did hardly anything to fix it. I mean, he's still getting beat up. He led the NFL this year in sacks taken and tied for the lead in sack yardage lost this season as well. So if they're not going to protect the quarterback, they're not going to make it very far in the postseason.
Well, that's what we were saying in the draft is that, I know Jamar Chase is super talented and it's very tempting to reunite him with Joe Burrow, but I was screaming that they should take that Penei Sewell. Do you think they made a mistake? I mean, because Jamar Chase is killing it.
I mean, I don't think they made a mistake, but I think they should have looked for some O-line support elsewhere, and at least in this coming off season, and if they haven't sorted it out by then.
Yeah, absolutely. Dustin, a big key to this game is Bengals rookie kicker Evan McPherson, not only kicking the game winner, but I think he was 4 for 4 in the game. Being a Bears fan, I know what it's like to not have a kicker in the playoffs. McPherson coming through in the clutch. That was a hell of a pick by Cincy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Having a almost automatic kicker is great when it comes to winning playoff games.
Absolutely. So yeah, big win for Cincy in Tennessee. And another aspect of this game was, Amanda, what's your thoughts on this? When the Bengals go up 6-0 on 2 field goals, the Titans get a touchdown and have a chance to take the lead at 7-6, and they decide to go for 2 instead. They don't get it, and now the game's tied instead of a 1-point lead. I think that cost them in the end. They could have been up 17-16 instead of tied and maybe run out the clock. Do you think that 2-point conversion fail played a big role in the outcome?
Yeah, I don't think there was any reason to go for it that early in the game. If it's the fourth quarter and things are getting tight, absolutely go for the 2-point conversion. But that early, you're just squandering points.
Yep, and giving away momentum. And I always want to have the lead. What do you think on that, Dustin?
Yeah, I mean, if you have the opportunity, I guess, go for 2, but not in situations like that, when when it determines if you're going to take the lead or not.
Yeah, it's easy to be like, we got Derrick Henry, we can get a yard and go up 2. But I always like compare, like, what's the benefit of going up 2 compared to going up 1? It didn't really make sense to me. Like you said, Amanda, that early in the game.
It's
Let's
crazy.
Well, especially
go ahead.
especially since they were relying on Derrick Henry so much in the game, but he only had 20 carries for 62 yards total, and none of his
Yeah.
carries were for more than 9 yards. In both of the situations where they relied on him in do-or-die situations where they needed a single yard, the Bengals stopped him short.
Yep. Yeah, that turnover on downs late was huge as well.
hmm
Let's get to your game, Amanda. Packers at 49ers. A big game, a big prove-it game. Aaron Rodgers wants this game. He always everyone always goes back to that when he didn't get drafted by the 49ers, and that's, driven him his entire career with a chip on his shoulder. 0-3 against the 49ers in the playoffs. And they had said before, if we can get home field, Lambeau is such a home field advantage. Dustin, you've been saying it all playoffs about how going to Lambeau and getting a win is so difficult. Amanda, what ultimately doomed the Packers in this game? It was a great game. They just couldn't put enough points up offensively, and then the special teams really bit them in the ass.
Well, I don't think the Niners won the game so much as the Packers gave the game away. I mean, Garoppolo only threw 1 pick somehow, even though he was just slinging the ball to whoever. Our defense should have gotten more of those free throws that he was checking out. But I mean, special teams, they gave up 10 points in the game, just handed it off. And I don't understand why that wasn't addressed in the offseason. Aaron Rodgers agreed to come back. We were stoked to have our quarterback, and we did nothing to fix the issues we had last year. They just hired the shoddy special teams coordinator's assistant coach for this year, and of course he learned from his predecessor, and they finished dead last in special teams. I don't know what they thought was going to be different this year.
Yeah, I think they kind of just like threw a Band-Aid on it and hoped that it would fix itself. Definitely didn't work out. I mean, what are your thoughts, Dustin? Because I know, Dustin, you picked the Packers to, I believe, win the Super Bowl this year. You picked them to win the NFC. You said, it was going to be very tough for anyone to go into Lambeau. What did you think watching this game? And like Amanda said, that blocked punt the Packers had it in the bag until that blocked punt.
Yeah, they did, and it's very unfortunate, to see my favorite player have to go sit at home. But the Packers just blew it again, and unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers is 0-4 against San Francisco.
I know that you say the Packers beat themselves, but we got to give some credit, Amanda, to San Francisco. I think they're the best coach team in football. Kyle Shanahan, whatever he's doing, how do you win with Jimmy Garoppolo consistently like he's doing it? Every big game. I mean, they had to beat the Rams just to get into the playoffs. They were down big in that game, found a way to win that, beat the Cowboys, beat the Packers in Lambeau. Like, Kyle Shanahan is absolutely killing it. I've said this going back to around the draft time. If I was a rookie quarterback, the best place in the NFL I'd want to go is the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I'd say, yeah. I mean, their defense definitely handled things. There were only 2 punt return touchdowns in the NFL this year, and they did that. So Kyle Shanahan is obviously making sure coaches are doing the right things there. And, I mean, their defense and special teams have been amazing, too. So of the 272 games in the regular season this year, there was only 15 blocked field goals and 12 blocked punts. It's not a common thing. They had both in one game.
Yeah.
So clearly a very well-coached team.
Absolutely.
And Alex,
yeah, go ahead, Dustin.
Shanahan knows how to get Jimmy Garoppolo in his comfortable spots. He knows when to take the shots with him and when to, run the football. So it's basically the coaching and him knowing how to use his players.
Yeah, I agree. And like, he seems to find success with running backs that no one's ever heard of. He's got Elijah Mitchell and Jeffrey Wilson right now. And those are not household names by any stretch of the imagination. And he was doing it with Raheem Mostert before, when we'd never heard of him either. Amanda, looking forward at Green Bay, what are your thoughts and hopes for this offseason? I mean, Green Bay's in a real interesting spot going into the offseason, you know, and up against it with the cap. What are you hoping they can pull off and try to keep Rodgers or Devontae, or what do you think is possible?
I mean, I honestly don't think Rodgers is gonna end up coming back. I know he's eyeballing Denver and Devontae Adams. We can't afford to keep them both, and they want to be together. I mean, $44 million over cap is impossible to renegotiate there. As much as I am upset that we've squandered him, and I really want him to stick around, there were just changes that should have been made to support his talent, and we squandered them. I mean, it's kind of a lost cause at this point, as depressing as that is, but I just hope we can find a quarterback who's going to fit in the system and address those special team issues so we can, you know, rebuild into a team that can actually win in the playoffs and make it to the Super Bowl and win.
What about Jordan Love? How is he capable of taking the next step, becoming the guy? You know, the team traded up for him in the first round, a first-round pick quarterback. There's high expectations there. Can Jordan Love fill those?
That's yet to be seen. I mean, he's young. He's got a good arm. He's got some accuracy. He's made some good throws in the games we've seen him in, but he's very young and doesn't always make the best decisions when under pressure.
Yeah. What do you think, Dustin? What's Green Bay looking at this offseason?
Well, you know, it's a lot of, like she said, I don't think that they're going to be able to keep both, and I think they're a package. So wherever Adams goes, Rodgers goes, vice versa, you know. And Jordan Love, I say give him a chance. I mean, Matt LaFleur is a good coach, and I think he's going to put Jordan Love in the same thing how Kyle Shanahan's kind of doing with Jimmy Garoppolo. Get him to what he knows, you know, the skill set of what Jordan Love has.
Yeah, and I know, Dustin, you'd like to see Aaron Rodgers wearing an Indianapolis Colts jersey next year.
Don't get me too excited.
God forbid.
Anybody but Carson Wentz, bro. I don't care if it's a freshman in college, bro. Let him suit up for Indy. Anybody but Carson.
I bet you can get Mitch
I got
Trubisky
you. I'll
on a
just
cheap
suit up.
deal.
What was that?
I bet you can get Mitch Trubisky on a cheap deal.
Hey, bring him.
Amanda, are you going to be supporting Rodgers no matter where he goes?
So Rodgers and I don't have the connection that Favre and I did. So Favre, I took a year off football because I was pretty devastated when he retired. I'm gonna have to stick with my pack. You know, I've got my boys there, so Aaron can go where Aaron needs to go, and we'll just stick with the green and gold.
All right, very nice. And then let's talk about Niners. They're going to be playing the Rams in LA at SoFi Stadium. Big game. The Niners have won 6 in a row against the Rams and Sean McVay, including Week 18, just to make the playoffs. They lose that game, and the Saints are playing instead of San Francisco. So I'm feeling pretty confident about the Niners going into LA. I know the Rams are the more talented team on paper, but I don't know. I mean, they seem to have McVay's number. What do you think, Dustin?
I mean, yeah, but Matthew Stafford impressed me a lot. So I got to go with the Rams, man. And I want you to start respecting Matthew Stafford.
We're going to get to that here in a second. And I got plenty to say on that, too. I don't think he's exactly proven himself quite yet. What do you think, Amanda? Can the Niners go into LA and get the win? I mean, 6 straight. This would be a pretty good accomplishment for the Rams just to win this game.
It would, but I do think they both have weaknesses that need addressed. Like the Niners offense didn't really show up much in the Packers game. Obviously, they didn't need to, but they're going to need much more of an offense against that LA defense. And the Rams had 4 fumbles in the game. Yeah, they won, but that was only the 4th team to have 4 fumbles and win in NFL history.
Wow.
So they're going to have to address that before that game.
Yeah, and to your point, Garoppolo had a couple duck throws out to the flat that could have easily been pick 6.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to be careful about that. Let's get to that game, Rams-Bucks. This game really pissed me off. Of all the games this weekend, this game pissed me off just because, you know, when Brady and the Bucks started the comeback down 27-3, I felt like, I mean, we all watched the Super Bowl when he came back down 28-3. It was one of those special moments, one of those games that you remember forever. And I was excited about that. And then when he comes back and actually ties the game at 27, I was like, here we go. Let's go to overtime. Bucks are going to win, and this is going to be one of those games we always remember. And then the Bucks defense just chokes and allows Cooper Kupp, of all people, to beat him deep. And Stafford hits him. That pissed me off. Bucks, I think we'd be in for a better rest of the playoffs if the Bucks and Brady were still playing, but their defense collapsed, and we got to live with the results. Dustin, what were your thoughts? I mean, you texted me a little bit as the Bucks were coming back in that game. What were your thoughts as Brady was leading them back for the tie?
I mean, what more is there to think? I was like, man, damn, this dude really is the GOAT, to do it twice. But I eventually knew that I felt like they had gave the Rams too much time, and the Bucks defense was just being, bad all game long. So
I mean, they only allowed 3 points or no, 7 points in the second half before that touchdown. They had shut them down.
yeah, I mean, what it started off 27-3, right?
Yeah, it was 20-3, and then they scored, made it 27-3 early in the third, and then they shut them down to tie the game. I mean, Chad Brown had a good point that the Bucks defense was beat up, but man, that pissed me off.
And why did you Cooper Kupp of all people, bro?
Of all people, double Cooper Kupp, treat Cooper Kupp like he's Devontae Adams. Like, come on now. What'd you think, Amanda?
Well, I do think it was nice to see Matt Stafford actually live up to his potential now that he's out of Detroit. I feel like he was being wasted there, so it's nice to see him actually be able to perform. But as much as it seemed like the same old Tom Brady comeback episode that we've seen, year after year, he was actually quite inefficient this game compared to his other postseason appearances. I mean, This was his first unsportsmanlike conduct that he's ever had in his 20-plus year career. And of his 47 playoff games that he's been in, this one is only ranked 36th in yards per attempt and 37th in passer rating. ESPN gave him a passer rating a QBR of 14 out of 100. So as fun of a game as it was to watch, and there was a comeback, it could have been a lot more efficient, and it was just not one of Tom Brady's better games.
Yeah, and it was tough. I mean, we got to give the Rams defense credit. That's a nasty defense. They were getting pressure.
Yeah, they had him handled.
Yeah, the D line was getting pressure on Brady a lot. I think that was a big part of why Brady was struggling, was that Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd and Von Miller, they were coming back. And remember that Von Miller strip sack on Brady and the Rams recovered it? At that point, I was like, oh man, this game might actually be over without a comeback. Like, that was huge. No one could block Sue. What'd you think on that, Dustin? The Rams D-line was dominating.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they have pretty much all season, to me, all the games that I've watched in. I told you in the previous one before we did this one that the Rams D-line had to get to Brady to be able to win that football game.
Yeah, that's the recipe for beating Brady, is get pressure on him, make him feel uncomfortable. And with no Tristan Wirfs, that was a big aspect in that game. Amanda, why didn't the Bucks defend Cooper Kupp? Why didn't they double him there at the end of the game? I mean, Cooper Kupp, we've seen the year he's had. Pretty much I would be like anybody but Cooper Kupp, right?
I mean, I feel like they were just getting worn out. I think all the defenses towards the end of these games were just getting tired. They were slowing down. They weren't keeping up. I think they're just getting a little complacent there. And it's Matt Stafford. I don't think they're used to him being able to complete an immaculate pass like that. And he came through.
Yeah, that was a big throw, and Stafford came through in the end. He didn't turn the ball over like I expected he would. There was a close call where he got sacked and almost fumbled it, but he was able to recover his fumble. I'm not sold on Stafford being over the hump though, and like past his issues in Detroit, and now we can trust him. I mean, I brought it up on last night's episode, Dustin, when when he turned the ball over twice in week 18. That wasn't like a long time ago. That was 2 weeks ago when he had those 2 turnovers that got the 49ers into the playoffs. He played great against the Cardinals. He came through in the clutch against the Bucks. Now against this Niners defense where he had his, turnover struggles a couple weeks ago, maybe he can protect the ball, but I don't see him. I don't see Stafford leading the Rams to the Super Bowl. Let's just say that. I know you want me to give him praise, Dustin.
Yeah, it's crazy that you think that, though, man. I mean, besides Mahomes, Stafford is the best quarterback left in the playoffs. So I mean,
Ooh, I would take Joe Burrow over him.
wait, you're kidding, right?
I'm not kidding.
Oh boy.
Also, how would you know how good Joe Burrow is? He spends half the time on the field because he's been sacked.
That's true. If they can
He's got to
protect
stay on
Joe
his feet.
Burrow, yeah. I don't know. I mean,
Burrow's good. I mean, he's gonna be great, but to compare him to Matthew Stafford, that's a little wild.
I think I don't know. How are you'd realize Stafford's been turnover prone his entire career, right?
Yes, I do.
So that's
You
just
realize he
gonna
hasn't
go.
had an O-line before.
Well, that's true. But I mean, he's had Calvin Johnson, Golden Tate, Eric Ebron. I'm a hater. I know it, but
It's all right. It's all right, Bears fan. We hear you.
Has he ever? He's never had a coach like McVay, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Kyle Shanahan's greater than McVay. Anyway, enough hating on Alex. Let's see. Let's go to the game of the weekend. Bills Chiefs. Game of the year, really. Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. What a battle. 2 of the best quarterbacks in the game. It was tied up at 14 at halftime, and then it really got heated up late. As much hype and as much praise as you were giving Josh Allen, Dustin, I mean, he was coming through more than I've ever seen Josh Allen come through. They're late to take the lead. Twice they're late.
Yeah, and I mean, I told you in the previous episode, Josh Allen was going to have a big game, and everybody's been sleeping on the guy.
It definitely helps Tyrann Mathieu getting knocked out early in that game. And
I mean,
how surprised were you, Dustin, that did you see Stephon Diggs and Dawson Knox stats in this game? If you haven't, look that up real quick. Gabriel Davis goes absolutely off Calvin Johnson style, and Diggs has held to 2 catches?
Yeah, and that was a game where I thought the one that would be stepping up was Diggs, but
it's amazing that Gabriel Davis, of all people, was the best receiver in the game, really, statistically.
Yeah, that surprised me.
What did you think, Amanda? I mean, yeah, I thought if the Bills are going to win, Diggs and Knox are going to go off, and instead we have Gabriel Davis go for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Well, most of that was from that 75-yard touchdown pass that, Allen completed to his lucky number 13 out there. But the largest lead in the game was 9 points, which lasted for 1 play until that play. It was such a great game of back and forth. I mean, the quarterbacks combined for 25 points in the final 2 minutes of the game.
Incredible. No defense could make a stop. And the Bills are the number 1 defense in football. So being a defensive guy, come on now. How the Chiefs were scoring far too easily, in my opinion. How do you stop this Chiefs team? Can you slow this offense down? What do you think, Amanda?
I just want to circle back to what you said when you said neither defense could make a stop. We'll get back to that when we start talking about overtime rules. If neither defense can make a stop, both offenses should have a shot at the ball in OT. I mean, this was the first time in postseason history where there were 3 go-ahead touchdowns in the final 2 minutes of the game. This game was mind-blowingly good. These quarterbacks were insane. They both threw for over 300 yards, ran for 50 or more yards, and completed over 70% of their passes. Until this
Incredible.
game, that's only ever happened twice in the postseason in NFL history, and they both did it in the same game.
That's
I mean,
ridiculous.
I think watching these, I would rather watch that game again, that same matchup, than whoever goes to the Super Bowl this year, honestly. Like, these two teams have matched up 3 times in the past 12 months, and they have a combined score of 198 points, 198, 100 for the Chiefs. These offenses are insane. So, I mean, for me, I think had the coin flipped the other way, we would be saying everything people are saying about the Chiefs and Mahomes, about the Bills and Josh Allen. The coin flip decided that game, not the defense, not the offense. They were both equally matched. The coin flip decided it.
Well, so I'm a defensive first guy, and so I like to watch defensive struggles. I put a lot into the defenses. Defenses get paid big money. Why can't a defense make a stop in that situation? Like, I get it. It's 2 of the hottest offenses in football, but defenses get paid too. They got to make a stop. I mean, the overtime is one thing, but with 13 seconds left and you can't keep them out of a field goal, that's really bad on the Bills' end. What do you think, Dustin?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought it wasn't the best defensive play calling, because like it was said yesterday, they were playing on the sidelines instead of in the middle.
Yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes exploited that twice.
Yeah. And so I get it if you're going to defend the sideline if the Chiefs have no timeouts left, but they had 2? And so they're just going to throw it in the middle where it's wide open and take a timeout. Big shot. Huh?
Why didn't the special teams coach, though, in my opinion, should have squibbed the kick? That would have took at least another 5 seconds off the clock.
I agree 100%. Do you think, Amanda, that they should have squibbed the kickoff?
I mean, I think they should have put more pressure on it. But as much as you're talking about the Bills' defense at the end of that game, the Chiefs gave up a go-ahead touchdown in the last 15 seconds of the game. So both of their defenses failed there at the end. They're the first team in the postseason in history to allow that touchdown with 15 seconds or less and still win. It's a miracle that they won. But you can't talk about the Bills' defense failing and not doing the right things and not talk about the Chiefs doing the same thing 15 seconds before that.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. If the Bills had won the coin toss, I bet the Bills go down and win it. Absolutely. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the defense has to make a stop. You get paid, these defensive players get paid big money. Go intercept it. Go knock the ball down. Go sack the quarterback. Joe Burrow got sacked nine times. Why can't Ed Oliver or one of these guys get to Mahomes and sack him and force a punt? I get it, but at where do we draw the line? Do we give them 1 possession each and then it's
Yes.
Yeah.
1
and
possession
then it's
each.
next score wins?
Yeah, I mean, both offense and both defenses from both teams should get to touch the ball because some teams are really strong defensively, some teams are really strong offensively. If they both have fought to make it to the postseason and to make it to overtime, they clearly have equally matched talents. So they should get to put both halves of their team on the field in overtime and get to continue to attempt to use those talents.
But let me argue this. Let's say they do that. And so the Chiefs go down and score on the Bills defense. The Bills get the ball. They go down and score on the Chiefs offense. And then it's tied again. Then you're okay with sudden death after that?
Absolutely.
All right. I can see that.
Because
but I mean, you're going to
then
have
it's skill deciding it.
That's fine. But then you're going to have people complaining, well, we should get 2 opportunities instead of 1. Our defense simply can't make a stop. So whoever has the ball after the first 2 possessions is going to win. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, a defense has to make a stop. What do you think, Dustin?
Yeah, but I have to agree with her. I kind of like both teams possessing the ball. And then next score wins after that.
Yeah. But my point is, so they both score. and then so it's tied again, and then you kick off, and then the Chiefs go down and win it. Is it still a fair comparison then? Because then it's 2 possessions to 1. You know what I mean? I'm old school. I liked it when it was like, look, you have 60 minutes to decide the outcome. If you get to overtime, then it's next score wins, no matter what. And Amanda, you remember back in the day when Hasselbeck said, "We want the ball and we're going to score," and then he threw a pick 6 and Green Bay advanced. You know, are the rules so one-sided now that it's required that we need to have double possessions? Is that part of it too?
I mean, there have been 52 NFL games that have gone into overtime. The winners have won or tied, the winners of the coin flip have won or tied 32 of those games. So only 20 out of 52, less than 20% of these games, or less than 40% of these games, are won by the teams who lose the coin flip. So there's a clear advantage being given to the teams who win the coin flip. And obviously that's done by chance. And it was, nice that the Chiefs finally got a shot of good karma in overtime in the postseason after watching the Patriots win the coin toss in 2019 and, go ahead and win that game with Mahomes on the sidelines. It was nice that, they got a chance to get that karma back, but then Josh Allen is on the sidelines this year. So I don't think it should be decided by a coin flip without at least equal opportunity one time with the ball. If they get the defensive stop, awesome, but they still have to score after that. If they can't get the defensive stop, they should at least be able to tie it up and then go from there.
I can agree with that. I mean, it's an interesting topic, and I'm sure the NFL is going to look at it. And the Chiefs tried to change the rule back then when they lost to the Patriots. They put in a petition to change the rule, and the NFL denied it. So maybe they'll go through this time. What do you think, Dustin? I mean, you're in favor of that rule change?
Absolutely.
What if, I don't know. I mean, I get frustrated by this conversation because for me, it's simply just make a stop defensively, and then you don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that easy, though.
Because why? Because the rules, or because the quarterbacks, or what? Why isn't it that easy? Why can't a defense just make a play?
I mean, you had 2 dynamic offenses, bro, and they were just hot.
They were hot, but give me.
I mean, don't you think the defenses would be worn out at the end of a game after chasing those quarterbacks back and forth? I mean, we just had 25 points in the final 2 minutes of the game. Those defenses were worn out. So putting a worn out defense against a red hot offense and not giving the other offense a chance to answer is so one-sided. And I mean, the Chiefs petitioned back in 2019. The Packers probably petitioned after losing to Seattle back in 2014? 2015, but the 2014 season. Like, this has happened, and then they lost the next year in Arizona in the playoffs. The same thing. First play of OT, lost the game, didn't touch the ball. It's just so lopsided when you have these strong offenses with a mediocre defense. But if you fought to make it to the postseason and you fought to make it to overtime, you should get your offense to get their hands on the ball at least once.
Absolutely agree 100% with that statement.
I'm all right with it. You guys have good, solid points for sure. I just like to push back on it. I like to be contrarian, and I'm pretty much, I like to be like, you know what, if you want to win, make a stop. Like, why can't, I understand defenses are tired at the end of the game, but I mean, offenses could be tired too. You know what I mean? They're just red hot. They got the momentum, and I don't know. It's a good debate for sure. What's up?
How would you feel about each team having a chance to possess the ball but have to go for 2, kind of like the college rules?
That's not bad. I mean, I like the college rules, but I would prefer it from the kickoff. So I guess if you're going to give each team, maybe you do it the college way where you go until someone can't match it. You know what I mean? Like, but then you might end up with like a full 10, 15-minute overtime and the game's still tied. You never know. So it's a real good debate. I'm interested to see. I think the NFL will change it. I don't see why they don't. After a game like this, after all the talk afterwards, Dustin, you picked the Bills to win. Josh Allen was red hot. Do you feel like the Bills were robbed?
Yes, and both of my Super Bowl teams are gone now.
Well, both my Super Bowl teams are gone too, so welcome to the club.
Dustin, did you pick Packers Bills?
Yes, I did.
Same, bro. Same.
Well,
It's because, man, I had all my chips because I'm a firm believer that Aaron Rodgers is unstoppable, but I was wrong.
Yeah.
I picked
Ouch,
Bucks
but
Titans, and both of my teams lost too. So it is what it is.
I mean,
Let's do our conference
I mean,
championship. What were you saying?
I was just gonna say this weekend was full of upsets. So like, I mean, three road teams won out of the 4 games.
That was pretty
It's
cool.
tied for the most road wins in a divisional round in NFL history. It tied 08 and 71. Like, this weekend was insane football. It's probably one of the best weekends of football in history, maybe the best.
Yeah, it was. They all
all
came
4
down
games
to the
were
wire.
all 4 games were won with no time left or in overtime.
Yeah.
Like, the total games were decided by 15 points. That's a margin of victory of 3.8 points on average. Like, that's the lowest margin of victory in playoff history with a round that has 4 or more games. Like, this weekend was insane. Either way, whoever you were rooting for, it was some damn good football.
It was, absolutely. And it was nice to see, for the most part, the refs stayed out of it. The Zebras let the big boys play and kept their whistles in their pockets.
Alex.
Tom Brady wasn't so happy about that, though.
Yeah, and that was bullshit, too. All those taunting, unsportsmanlike calls. Just let them play. Stafford clearly kicked through. Brady got hit in the chin, and he's obviously bleeding. And the NFL's like, unsportsmanlike. Get out of here, Zebras. Go ahead, Dustin.
No, I was saying, man, if this is what the future holds, give me 10 plus years of Mahomes and Allen.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be a hell of a rivalry.
It was interesting to see Sue and Stafford go up against each other, though. That was quite the interesting turnaround. Since he used to do the same thing to Aaron Rodgers on the Lions. So Matt Stafford going after Sue and doing the same ankle twisting kick and stuff that Sue used to do to Rodgers was kind of interesting to watch as a Packers fan.
I'm surprised he didn't stop on his ankle or something.
Oh, God, don't get me started.
Well, Donkey Kong Sue. Another rivalry that we could be looking for a long time is Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, and that's this weekend. Bengals at the Chiefs in Arrowhead. Dustin, do you see any way the Bengals go into Arrowhead, into that environment against Patrick Mahomes and beats them to go to the Super Bowl?
Man, my heart wants to go Bengals so bad. But no, I mean, the Chiefs are just too unstoppable for the Bengals.
What about Tyrann Mathieu being out?
I mean, that helps Jamar Chase a lot, but I just think that Patrick Mahomes is too much.
Yeah. What do you think, Amanda?
I think maybe if Joe Burrows had an O-line that gave him more time to get the ball out to who it's going to need against Kansas City's defense, maybe. But, I mean, I just think Burrows is young and his team is young and it's got a lot of young talent. Maybe in a year or two when they've filled in those holes, but I think Kansas City takes it outright. I don't think it's going to be one of these close games, one of these nail biters. I think it's going to be a pretty solid from the beginning. Chiefs are going to have it handled.
I think it could be interesting. I hope for a good game. I hope it's like a 3-point win for the Chiefs, honestly. But, and Matthew not playing is big. The Bengals have a lot of firepower offensively. So it might be another shootout like we saw Bills Chiefs, 42-36 type game. Maybe. Burrow and that offense is going to have to keep pace. And yeah, that Chiefs D line is going to be getting pressure all day. So we'll see how Burrow handles it. And then Niners at Rams. Niners have won 6 straight. Dustin, you got the Rams snapping this streak in the NFC Championship game?
Yes, I do.
Man, Stafford is going to throw a couple picks. Niners are taking this one. What do you think, Amanda?
I mean, I really want to pull for the Rams. I obviously have some sensitivities about the Niners as a Packers fan, but I don't know. McVay is going to show up and he's going to coach, and I think it's going to be a close game. And I think this game is going to be a lot more interesting to watch than the Bengals Chiefs. I think it's going to be a lot closer. I think they're more evenly matched.
Yeah.
I don't think Garoppolo is going to be able to be as sloppy as he was against the Packers against the Rams and have it turn out where he only throws 1 pick. I think the Rams are going to go after those errant balls, and he's going to regret throwing them.
Yeah, he's got to protect the ball. Turnovers are huge. Their mistakes are magnified in the playoffs. And so Garoppolo against Stafford, I think 2 guys capable of turning the ball over. So it's going to come down to who protects it and who plays better. I mean, Garoppolo doesn't have to sling it all over the field like Stafford. You know, they can run the ball and play defense, but he's going to have to make timely plays, timely third down conversions. And George Kittle and Deebo Samuel are going to have to ball out. Who's your Super Bowl prediction, Amanda? Who you got?
Of the remaining teams, I'm going to say Chiefs, Rams.
Yeah. What do you think, Dustin?
I agree. Chiefs, Rams, and hopefully another high-scoring game like they played a few years back.
Yeah. That was what was that, 54-51 or something like that?
Yeah, their matchups are always fun.
Yeah. I'm going 49ers Chiefs, a rematch of 2 years ago. And as hot as the Chiefs are, I'm a big believer in this Niners defense. Look, if you can go into Lambeau in the snow and hold Rodgers and Devontae Adams and those guys and Aaron Jones to 10 points, I think this Niners defense is for real. Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Eric Armstead was getting pressure all game. I got the Niners over the Rams, and I hope it's Niners Chiefs, and that could be a hell of a Super Bowl.
I disagree. I think if it's Niners and Chiefs, man, the defense isn't as good as when they played back in 2019, right? I believe.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think
Why isn't it? Why isn't it as good?
I just don't see it. They were ranked in the top 5 that year, right? I mean, in almost every category defensively. So
Yeah, but it's not about overall season stats. You talk about a 6 seed getting hot at the right time in the playoffs. Throw season stats out. Look at the last 2 games. That's what it's all about. And they held Kyler Murray, or no, that was the Rams. Who'd they beat? Dallas. They held Dak Prescott and the Cowboys offense down, who was in a very explosive offense. No one thought that would happen. They held Aaron Rodgers and that explosive offense in Green Bay down. No one thought that would happen.
I mean, but if we're talking about looking at the last 2 games, look at the Packers' last 2 games. Yeah, we lost to the Niners. We just lost to the Lions, and no one mentioned it. No one talked about it. No one said a word about it. And it's not like we started our 3rd string. Our starters played, and we lost to the Lions. But somehow that game just didn't compute into anyone's brains because we'd already lost in the 1st seed. Clearly, we had some issues that needed worked out as a team that were not addressed before the Niners game. So, yeah, their defense was good, but our offense was also just very, very out of sync.
Yeah, and Mercedes Lewis with that fumble early on, because Packers go down and go up 7-0 right off the bat, and they're driving again. And then that Mercedes Lewis fumble seemed to take all the air out,
Yeah, and I mean, the Packers have performed better this season when they start off down and they have to make a comeback because they have to get fired up early. Most of the games that we've come back and had great games have been when we start out at a deficit.
Yep. We'll see. Yeah, Dustin, don't sleep on the Niners defense. I think you'll see them show up again on Sunday. And we might not have a choice. I mean, we all want an explosive offensive showing of Rams, Chiefs, and maybe the Rams D line is exactly what's needed to slow down Mahomes, the way the Bucks did last year. But I have a strong. I just think the Niners are going to win this. Gut and looking back at 6 straight. I mean, you can say whatever you want. I think Kyle Shanahan has McVay's number. And if Cam Akers fumbles. If Cam Akers is fumbling again, that's something to keep an eye on too.
Yeah, I guess we're just gonna have to see who learned what from last week and who's applying it better.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think both games are real good. I think the Bengals Chiefs will be better than we think too. Like,
God, I hope so.
I hope so. I mean, the Bengals are capable. Like you got a good point though. If Burrow can stay up, standing up straight. I mean, if he's sacked the entire game, if he takes 10 plus sacks, then they're going to be in trouble. What do you think, Dustin?
You got to feel bad for the kid. I mean, he's accurate. He can hit his targets. He's a good young quarterback, but man, he's got to be banged up this week going into this game. 9 sacks.
Yeah. Bengals need O-line help bad. That's got to be their number one goal this offseason. Is to fix that.
Yeah, I think I messaged you that during the game that Joe just needs an O-line, and we would be talking about him just like people are talking about Mahomes.
And there's something to Joe Burrow. You know, I could get used to these post-game, shots of him smoking championship cigars. Like, I think he's got that it factor, Dustin. We said the same thing about Mahomes. His first year as a starter, you could just tell, you could see it. I think Joe Burrow's got a lot of that it factor that's going to have the Bengals contending for championships for a lot of years to come if they can protect him. Dustin, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I was like, it's crazy because coming out of LSU, they were like, it's just because he had the weapons, but he's proving everybody wrong right now.
Well, he's got the weapons again. They bring up Jamar Chase. Got T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, C.J. Uzomah.
Let me say this real quick. The reason why I chose the Rams is because I think Stafford is going to make the bigger play when it comes down to it over Jimmy Garoppolo.
The bigger play for who? The Rams or the Niners?
Obviously.
Okay, Dustin, what if Cam Akers has 2 fumbles again?
I mean, then he has 2 fumbles, but the 49ers don't have enough firepower against that defense.
Disagree. Kittle and Debo, bro, and Ayuk.
I don't know, man. They stopped the GOAT, bro, and Jimmy G is nowhere near that. So,
yeah. Amanda, how shocked were you that Sean Payton stepped away from the Saints?
I mean, he's got to be getting tired. Like he's gone through a lot of transition over the past few years, and saying goodbye to Breeze, and I mean he's an amazing coach, and he's done the same thing for so long. It sounds like I think he's gonna pull a Brett Favre. I think he's gonna take some time off, recharge, go on some vacations with the family, and then be lured back into a young and hot team who needs a new head coach. I don't think he's coached his last game.
And he's gonna walk into Hallis Hall and lead the Bears to a championship or 2.
I thought you guys were going after who's the coach in Michigan? Oh, Harbaugh? Yeah, I thought that was who you guys wanted.
I want Jim Harbaugh. I'll take Sean Payton too. He's a former Bear. At this point, it sounds like the Bears are going Jim Caldwell, former Lions and Colts coach. Ideally,
be a good fit.
Yeah, ideally, I'll tell you the coaching staff I want. I want Jim Caldwell at head coach, Pep Hamilton at offensive coordinator, and Vic Fangio back as defensive coordinator.
I mean, Fangio was a great defensive coordinator for you guys. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. It sounds like Denver is pulling hard for all three of them. So I'm gonna have to have some quarrels with my husband over his Broncos stealing my team.
Are you gonna buy your Rodgers Broncos jersey if it goes down?
God, no. I lost a bet once at that game where Bart Starr, Aaron Rodgers, and Brett Favre were all on the field together. We played Denver, and my husband and our teams only play each other every few years. But we lost that game with our 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks there, and it was the most depressing thing ever. And then my husband made me wear a stupid Broncos hat the next day because that's our deal. If his Broncos beat my team, I have to rep the orange and blue, which is just a hideous color combination. So God, I hope not. That's just the most repulsive thought I could possibly think of. I would rather Aaron Rodgers go to the Chicago Bears or the Detroit Lions, to be completely honest.
We'll take him in Chicago. I think there's a good chance he goes to Pittsburgh, like you called earlier in the year when him and Tomlin were giving each other the flirting with their eyes.
Oh God, they were so into each other that game.
Yeah. What do you think, Dustin? Where's Rodgers going?
Man, I'm gonna go Denver.
You're not going to Indy?
I mean, I would do everything in my power if I had the power to bring him to Indy. You know, I would throw away the whole team if I had to. But no.
Well, you can't throw away the whole team because he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but you know,
what do you think Sean Payton will be back in a year or two, Dustin?
I do, and I think I mean, the rumors are speculating that it could be for him to go to Dallas eventually because I think Mike McCarthy won't last there very long.
Yeah, I think he's got a year left in him. And the Cowboys underachieve again, and then they go get Sean Payton, who could take Dak Prescott to the next level.
Let me say this, though, okay? When you guys are talking about the Rodgers thing, I'm a Colts fan, like I said, but I'm always going to be a diehard Aaron Rodgers fan, regardless where he goes.
Yeah. What about Byron Leftwich, head coach of the Jags? It's not official yet, but it sounds like it's going to happen. Do you think that's a good fit, Dustin? With Trevor Lawrence? You do?
Yeah, but do we have to talk about the Jags?
Yeah. I'm not sold on this move. I know Byron Leftwich is a hot coordinator. He got a lot out of the GOAT, got a championship and everything like that. This just seems like the Jags saying, who we hire, let's bring in our former quarterback. You know? Like, I would rather bring in a guy like Eric Bieniemy. And why isn't Eric Bieniemy getting more hype? What do you think, Amanda? Do you think Leftwich is a good fit in Jacksonville?
I think he gets a lot of credit for being the OC for Tampa Bay, but I also think the players in Tampa Bay should be getting more of that credit. Like, yeah, he looks good because of who he's been, coordinating for, but is it really him or is it just all the talent that team brought in there and coordinated together? I mean, whoever's making up their roster, I think gets more credit than he gets for their offense. So I think they're going to be disappointed if that's who they end up signing.
Yeah, they need a proven winner. That's why I was saying all along the Jags should get Jim Caldwell.
But the Jags are also interviewing Nathaniel Hackett out of Green Bay too.
Yeah, and that's not bad. But I mean, he's similar. It's like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady can coach and play call their own offense. Like, how many times do you think those guys go up there to the line of scrimmage and audible and change the play anyway?
Well, Tom Brady more than Aaron Rodgers. That was one of Aaron Rodgers' issues in the offseason this past year. Was part of his holdout is that they don't give him enough control. Yeah. And they gave him more control this year, and we lost in the divisional round with no offense in that game. So I don't know what the problem was, but
well, he was
it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. Dustin, how about Aaron Rodgers?
My COVID.
No worries. How about Dustin? Aaron Rodgers is gonna make the announcement on the Pat McAfee show. Whatever he's doing, he's gonna have Pat McAfee break the news for him. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it. Which means that I am going to remain optimistic. Maybe Pat McAfee can talk them into coming over to Indy, but
yeah, and Pat said something like if we convince Aaron Rodgers to go to the Colts, the NFL is never going to let any other current player come on our show because they're going to feel like we're going to recruit him to the Colts.
And all I want is for Carson Wentz to be gone, dude. He has literally pissed me off this season, man.
I thought he was your savior.
I thought so too, man. I thought he was going to come in and play well, but he just can't. He makes dumb decisions, dude, when the game's on the line, and he's just not a playmaker.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It's going to be
What
a
would you
great
think about Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Hey, I would love it because he's a superstar too. But
he's been doing it since Wisconsin.
yeah,
I mean, if you look at the quarterbacks who are going to be available this season or who are in talks of potentially being available, I mean, you've got Rodgers, Cousins, Wilson, Matt Ryan, Derek Carr. Like, who else is there? You're going to go for what, Jimmy GQ or Tua?
give me Matt Ryan, give me Matt Ryan. I'll be happy with that in Indy.
Amanda, you left out one big name in there. You didn't mention Mitch Trubisky.
I mean, you know how I feel about him. He's way down the list. He's under Cam Newton and Bridgewater and Goff. Like,
No,
I mean,
get out of
I
here.
wasn't done. You want to
Don't
throw
hate on my
Tyrod
boy,
Taylor in there
Mitch.
too?
Cam
But
Newton
Matt
can't
Flynn,
throw it 5 yards.
I mean, I can throw Matt Flynn in there too if you want me to dig real deep there for you. Get down
No,
to
get Matt
Trubisky.
Flynn out of here.
You put Cam Newton over Mitchell Trubisky?
No, she's hating because he's a Bears quarterback. You know how those Packers fans do.
Listen, you know I love Mitch in my fantasy football teams because he's so good in the team name.
Real quick, Michigan DC, Mike McDonald expected to sign with the Ravens. So Harbaugh might be losing his defensive coordinator. Another sign that maybe he's out of Michigan. We'll see. And starting to lean towards maybe Jim Harbaugh to the Raiders with Derek Carr.
I mean, it might be a reason for Carr to stick around.
Yeah.
I heard that the Raiders like Versace though.
Yeah, they're not keeping him though. They like him, but not enough to keep him.
Hey, he took them to a playoff run. I mean, you know.
Yeah, but Matt Nagy took the Bears to the playoffs twice too, and we see what that did for him. So, anyways, now he's sitting at home. Appreciate you guys coming on. This was fun talking championship football. I can't wait for this weekend. Thanks for coming on, Amanda. Good content, good knowledge.
Thanks. You know, that's what I'm here for. The annoying stats and numbers. That's the stuff I like.
Sorry we couldn't get Hugh on for you this week, but we'll keep plugging away at that. Hugh will be back on soon. He's
all
busy
right. Let him know whenever he wants. Whenever he wants to join, I'll be here waiting for him.
Yeah, he's got to recruit for Grambling State now, so he's got his hands full. He's recruiting against Deion Sanders, so good luck with that. All right, Dustin.
Man. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Good
Thanks
shit,
for
Dustin. Yeah. Thanks for coming on, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good week, guys. Peace out.